Peace, this medicine man. I'm back. I had a little technical difficulties on my first recording. For the most part, um, I'm back. I'm live. One of the things I wanted to finish elaborating on is the whole idea about hoodoo and root work, as from the African American perspective and a cultural perspective, about seeing different things, seeing different workings, seeing different kind of root workers do different things. One of the last things that I was elaborating on before I was cut off was talking about the difference between using organic reading materials versus the difference of using tarot cards or even playing cards. One of the significant um, pluses about working with animal bones when doing readings is that it connects you to the totem spirits. Part of root working is that we work with totem spirits. This actual practice comes from, this practice actually comes from, our native indigenous heritage, for the most part. But working with the totem spirits is very important in root working in hoodoo. As I mentioned earlier, before, that we should definitely learn how to read with organic reading materials because it connects us to the earth energy. When you talk about root work, you're talking about roots, you're talking about the earth. The earth has a meridian. When we as root workers tap into the earth, we're tapping into the earth's energies, the earth energy field. We're tapping into the spirits that live in the earth. We're tapping into the power that comes from the vibration of certain spirits, the vibration of certain plants, and the vibration of animals. One of the main things that was taken out of hoodoo by the online hoodoo appropriators was the African science of working with the totem spirits, working with animals, and working with animal blood. Now, the people that perpetuate their online version of hoodoo minus the animal work, um, it's all based on the fact that these people that perpetuate this idea, they're animal right activists. So you cannot expect an animal right activist. Everybody at Lucky Mojo are animal right activists. And that's why all of their hoodoo consists of putting butter on candles and some other foolishness that they try to substitute for the real work. You see, the real work is when you taking animals, like when you read the old manuscript of what that Hyatt fella, that they went and they compiled all of the various informations from talking to various root workers across the board. I think that's what Kenya Rondi them did. They went around and talked to all these different root workers and from different regions. But one of the main problems with that is that when you go to Carolina, you're going to hear a perspective. When you go to Georgia, you're going to hear a perspective. When you go to Florida, you're going to hear a perspective. You go to Alabama, you're going to hear a perspective. You go to Tennessee, perspective. You're going to go to New Orleans, you're going to hear a perspective of how the roots work in each locality. So ultimately, when you put together all of those different things like that, what you're doing is you're meshing different regional influences and trying to sell it off to everybody as, oh, this is one. But then when you come into the black community and you talk to root workers here in South Carolina, then you go talk to root workers in other parts of the nation, which I have done, black root workers, we even know that there is a difference in the way that we practice. You know, some of my approaches are new to root workers in Georgia. Some of the root workers in Georgia approaches are new to me. So we share ideas based on our family secrets. His family had secrets that they preserved in a certain way, a certain mode of thinking, a certain way of practicing. So when I converse with this brother and we share ideas about what we've learned and what we know about root working, I learn every day. I learn all the time because I understand that there's levels to this. And we, for the most part, people in the southeastern region of America, We descendants of Congolese people, Bantu people. For the most part, many of us have these influences in us. And because we have these influences in us, these spirits that work through our ancestral bloodline, that are Bantu spirits, they're going to awaken our mode of root working in a way that is going to be different from people with other influences. You see, because your ancestors are speaking through you. So when I go to make a mojo bag, I'm making a mojo bag not like a grist grist. Never heard of a grist grist till I came online. It may be something that's prominent in New Orleans, but in South Carolina it wasn't. So that practice itself, to me, in my own opinion, from what I was raised, it comes from a certain region of hoodoo practitioners, of root working practitioners, because their region had specific influences. So they would call it grist grist in New Orleans. We call it the mojo bag in Carolina. Now, do they operate the same? I don't know. I don't know about making grist grist. I don't know if grist grist and mojo bag should be considered the same because I don't know how to make a grist grist. I never tried because the mojo bag serves the same purpose for me. Mojo bags go, and it can range from simple talismans, they can be charms, and it also can contain spirits. So when we look at the Central African people, um, a lot of times when I think I posted online a picture of an African Nganga, African priest, and this man had mojo bags tied all over his body, in every aspect, all of his body. Each bag had a certain type of medicine inside it. What people don't know about our Central African ancestors and brothers and sisters over there is that medicine that they carry in the bags are the medicines for the spirits. You see? So when you go to conjure a particular spirit, you must know the medicine formula for that spirit because every spirit has a medicine. And these medicines are the secret formulas that are used to conjure these spirits, to call them forth, because these spirits are activated by the power that's in the plants. Um, but we have to empower it. You see, a lot of times people make mistakes because they think that ingredients alone can make something work. So you say, well, I put some wormwood with some pork root, um, and I'm gonna put some chamomile in there, and I'm gonna put some honey in this jar. I'm gonna take the person's picture. I'm gonna take that picture. I'm gonna tie it up 10 times, and I'm gonna bind this person. Well, the issue with that is if you don't have any connection to any real spirits, if you don't have the energy work done to connect yourself to a real spiritual force, a real spiritual energy, and you drawing from that energy and using it in your work and you projecting it out, if you're not doing any of that, all you're doing is, like I said before, you're mixing up some good seasoning. And then on top of that, when they take blood work out of the root work, the missing element is the totem power, the power of the totem spirit. So now, let's say you're making a bottle. Let's say you're making a bottle spell. You're doing some bottle work. All right. Um, you got this bottle down. You blow smoke in this bottle. You did all of this stuff. Crystal in there, blow smoke in there. You put roots and herbs in there, and everything. Did your prayer, or did your ritual, and nothing happens. Why? Nothing happens because the question is, did you do the energy work? Did you do the energy work? How often do you do energy work? You see, you can't just pick up a book or jump online, find a spell, whoop it up, boom, 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 and think it works like that. Because spirits are like people. You have to build relationships. And if you have to build a relationship with me, or you have to build a relationship with your spouse in order for them to trust you, in order for them to love you, in order for them to support you, then what makes you think you don't have to build that type of relationship with a spirit so that they can work for you stronger? The stronger your relationship with a person, the stronger your relationship with a spirit, the stronger that they work for you. It's a no-brainer. So, and when I say about building relationships with spirits, what I'm actually talking about is working with spirits, working with them, keeping them in your everyday activity. So when you wake up in the morning, and I work with my ancestors exclusively. I'm a root worker by nature, so part of being a root worker is working with any kind of spirit that cross your path. You should be able to communicate with them and work with them at a high level when you have the skill set to do it. But for the most part, when we doing our work, planning work is very important to root working because a lot of times people don't plan their work out. They just say, well, um, I got a client, I got a case, boom, I'm on it. And they don't do a reading. People say, oh, well, you don't need a reading. Well, most of the people who say that you don't need a reading, they can't read. That's the truth. Um, I found that divination helps answer a lot of questions, helps avoid a lot of obstacles, helps give the client and yourself insight on how you can approach this issue if you are a good diviner. A lot of these techniques of divination find out this type of information. You can't get that from a tarot card. You see? So, and this is what I'm saying. Certain oracles, certain divination oracles are very limited. Now you can try to expand it as much as you want to, but it's still going to be limited because there's certain things that you just can't catch within a reading with cards versus a reading with using animal bones. An example of that: cards require layouts, right? Cards require layouts, meaning that you got to either lay it out diamond or star pattern or whatever kind of pattern you lay it in. Okay, and that's it. That's solidified there. But now, when you're talking about throwing bones or throwing animal parts, bones and stuff, when you throw it, it makes a whole geometric pattern. Makes a whole geometric pattern. When it makes that pattern, the diviner understands the many different geometrical shapes in nature, and they know what shapes carry what message. You see? So when I look at this geometric shape and I see a particular image in that shape, I can scry into that geometric shape and pull out a message. You see? So that's a little deeper process than just laying the cards out in a spread. Now you can scry into cards also, yes you can. But I think that there's a deeper message when you see that geometrical pattern. That geometrical pattern tell you, okay, this person's life is in shambles. That's what the pattern says. But the reading says something totally different. So now you have to look at it from different perspectives. If this person's life is in shambles, why does the rest of the reading say, they're marked for prosperity? You see? You have to know what areas of life is in shambles. Not the person's whole life. It's just a particular area. And then on another side, the prosperity could be in a particular area. So the geometric shapes of the layout could address one area of the life, give you one complete total answer on the area of that life, and the rest of the reading could be something totally different. And this is why, you know, to me, it's important to know how to read bones and sticks and stones because of the organic, like I said, the organic nature. You draw straight from nature. So if I go in the graveyard and I pull 10 pieces of graveyard bark from 10 trees in the cemetery, and I take that and I consecrate it in various ways, especially with the animal blood that belongs in Hoodoo, with the totem spirit, spirit guide. And that's another thing. I'm gonna share that with you real quick. When putting animal blood on your oracle, um, and doing a ritual to it with it, it actually empowers your oracle with a nature spirit when you put that blood on that oracle. But you got to know what you're doing. You got to, you just can't go get some blood off a pack of steak inside food line. Can't do that and pour it on the oracle and then get online, take pictures of it. You got blood on you. No, it don't work like that. There's a lot of people doing that type of stuff, but it don't work like that. Now, You have to get an animal. Certain things in African tradition were done with animals before the animals were even sacrificed. And this is what the missing element, like I said, the missing element of hoodoo is the blood work. Because this is what empowers your root work. The ancestors shed blood for us to be here. The animals shed their blood to empower us to be able to change nature through our voodoo and our hoodoo. So it's very important that we understand how the animals work. Now, in African science, the way, excuse me, in African science, the way animals work, at a priest, generally, the priest usually just whispers something into the animal's ear, whispers something into the animal's ear before they slip the animal, so that the animal can actually transcend over into the spiritual world. So the animal can transcend over to the spiritual world. So, and that's really important, and that's really important for the blood part, the blood work part. Because when we look at the animals, when we look at the animals and how the animals work in hoodoo, how they work in voodoo, how they work in other traditions, everybody look at it like sacrifice, 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 sacrifice. Everybody look at it like like there's a huge major sacrifice going on, but it's really not. It's the transference of power. Because when you take the blood of the animal, of the totem spirit, and you release his blood, you release his spirit. So when you release it into the oracle that you're consecrating, so that this spirit can be a guide in the spirit world as you communicate. You see, this totem spirit is going to be the one that's be like, there's a dark spirit. Don't work with that. Don't work with this. And they're going to show you signs. Okay, this is an ancestor. This is a wayward spirit. They're going to let you know. And see, this is one of the missing parts. So when people sit down and do these readings, and they don't have any real connection to any real spirit because they just buying tarot decks and they praying on them, rain, water, and that's it. They don't have any real connection with the real spirits. So when you sit down with cards, you don't have a real connection to a real totem spirit or ancestral spirit. You open the door for any old random spirit to come through and start talking. People don't know that. I got a reading, and the reading said this and that. Well, who are you talking to? Like, please break that down. Because when you open a reading, you're supposed to open your reading calling forth your ancestors and blocking any other spirits out. You just don't, come on, let's do a reading shuffle of cards. It's like you opening up for anybody to come through. So, that's one of the things that you don't want to do, as well as what I tell people about conjuring things in your home, because you invite you invite those energies into your house, and you shouldn't do that. Real root work, like I say, it takes place in the cemetery, behind the old churches, in the woods, by the river, by the water, you know what I mean? And we do that because we work with the earth energy. You have to ground your energy. You can't ground your energy in your living room. How you gonna do that? People wonder why stuff don't work. They got these crazy spells called freezer spells. They put people's name, put them in the freezer. That's not grounding it. That's not sending it out. All you're doing is freezing it. So the work, the energy that you put, you just froze it. You ain't send it out. A lot of times people don't know in root work, that's what you have to learn how to do. You can't just fix the work. You have to fix the work and know how to send it out. But if you're sending it out, you got to send it out either with a spiritual force of nature, or you got to send it out with your own personal power, or you want to send it out with the power of a spirit of the dead or whatever, for the most part. But I just wanted to elaborate on a few things for y'all and kind of just basically kick it so y'all can have some understandings on, on how hoodoo works and how it all gets together. This medicine man, y'all can join me on my class. My class will be ready next Sunday. Next Sunday we're gonna have another class, and we take it to the We're gonna take it to the top with the Bible class because we had bad weather out there this weekend, and my internet connection went totally down. But now we're gonna have everything back this week, and we're gonna have that class. So hit me up. You can hit me up on YouTube, or you can hit me up on Facebook under Charles Mason, and we can definitely get busy and start learning some root work. I'm not big on shooting spells out to people. I'm big on teaching you how to think like a root worker. Because once you know how to think like a root worker, anything becomes a root. Peace.